Coming up on Network Africa. First case of coronavirus confirmed in South Africa. Presidents of Somalia and Kenya speak following heightened diplomatic tensions. Plus, US President Donald Trump extends sanctions against Zimbabwe. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shoboale. Our coverage of the coronavirus outbreak today begins in South Africa, where the Health Ministry has confirmed a case. The patient is a 38-year-old male who traveled to Italy with his wife. The couple returned to South Africa on March the 1st, and the patient consulted a private practitioner 2 days later with symptoms of fever, headache, a sore throat, and a cough. The patient has been in isolation since then, as well as the doctor. Meanwhile, South African authorities say 2 citizens who initially tested positive for coronavirus have now tested negative and will be ready to go home soon. The pair had been hospitalized in Japan after being taken ashore from the cruise ship they were working on. The Diamond Princess vessel was first quarantined back in January when a passenger who disembarked in Hong Kong tested positive for coronavirus. South Africa's government says it is at an advanced stage with its plan to bring its citizens back from Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the outbreak. Our South Africa Bureau Chief Betty Dibia is in KwaZulu-Natal, where the first case was confirmed in South Africa today. She joins us now to give us an update. Betty, what more can you tell us about the first coronavirus case in the country?
Thank you, Tenny. We understand from the statement by the Department of Health, the Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, said that a 38-year-old male who had traveled to, or who had just returned from Italy with his wife in a party of 10, had presented himself to a medical practitioner a few days back. They returned on the 1st of March, and he's been self-isolating from the 3rd of March. He presented himself to the private medical practitioner who now sent the sample to the lab. So at this moment, he's being isolated, and after interviewing him and the doctor as well has been isolated, or he's been self-isolating. The couple have 2 children, and a tracer team has been sent to KwaZulu-Natal, where probably the couple actually live, to find out those he's made contact with. And we expect a press conference from the minister much later today after the debate in Parliament over the issue. There'll be more details revealed in Parliament. But at the moment, a tracer team has been sent to KwaZulu-Natal, and all the people that he has made contact with are being identified now by the experts who have interviewed him. So that tracer team will now go to probably test the people and maybe isolate them for a bit to find out if they will be given the all clear or not. So much later today, Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize is expected to shed more light on the issue, what has been done and what is still going to be done regarding this particular case, especially to calm people down and avoid speculation on the matter.
But Betty, how prepared was the government for this, and what measures have been put in place to prevent a spread?
Well, as far as preparations are concerned, the health minister, at the head of a number of committees, interministerial and interdepartmental, has been giving out a lot of information, have been briefing the public quite frequently on what to do, on who to reach out to. Remember, there is a 24-hour hotline for medical practitioners to report any case that they think may be, and a number of facilities have been designated to handle these issues. And you also recall that the country is getting ready for the evacuation of some of 151 as of today, the citizens who have been stranded in Wuhan province, who have indicated that they are willing to come back. So preparations have been in top gear. The SANDF, that's the South African National Defence Force, is also part of this, and they're spearheading the aspect of the evacuation. But South Africa is up there in Africa regarding medical infrastructure. So they have been saying, but it's quite a difficult thing to do, especially when people don't come out with information or present themselves when they suspect. The issue of washing your hands, among other things, and reporting when you suspect a case is an issue. But as far as sharing information, that has been right up there. They've been briefing the public very, very frequently regarding this. So I'm sure the country is quite prepared for this. Since they're preparing for that evacuation, a lot of things have been put in place, and hopefully, as they have had for those two South Africans on the cruise ship who have been given the all clear now, probably in this case this can be curbed and there won't be a spread. But they're taking the issue of not importing as well as not allowing to spread. The issue of isolation is being taken seriously in the country. But again, the issue of sharing information or bringing out information when it's important to do so. Hopefully people will take heed and work along with government regarding this.
The South African government says it's at an advanced stage with its plan to bring its citizens back from Wuhan. That's the epicenter of the outbreak in China. What does that mean, and how soon can we expect this to happen?
Wuhan evacuation, we know that plans are in top gear with the South African National Defence Force at the head of that operation. A lot of the professionals, at this point we understand 151 people are going to be evacuated. They're going to be isolated or quarantined for 21 days. Right now, none of them has tested positive. But if for any reason any of them that will be found out during the isolation, and we understand from the minister that 13 facilities, medical facilities, have been designated. They're trying not to put it out there in the open. And they want, apart from those who are being evacuated, all the professionals, including the crew that'll be bringing them back and the health professionals that'll be around them, will also be quarantined for a period in order to give them the all clear. Even the media are not allowed close by, and anyone who manages to find his or her way through will also be quarantined along with them. So the goal is not to allow it to spread. The goal is to contain it, and the goal is to have those people in there given the all clear first of all.
Betty, with this confirmed case, how are South Africans reacting, especially to the potential return of citizens from Wuhan? Are there fears that this could import the virus into the country?
With this first confirmation, I guess it brings the problem closer home, or it gets to dawn on the people that this is real, and this could affect anyone. And in human interaction, it's inevitable to spread. But we've been hearing of efforts by government to ensure that it's not done. But family members have been worried about their loved ones who are out there. And you wouldn't want to be one of the family members whose loved one is left stranded in another country. So government had been worried or had been cautious regarding the evacuation of citizens around affected countries, for the main reason of the issue of importation of the virus or the infection into the country. but they had to reach a point where cabinet decided, look, we can't leave these people. Remember that Wuhan has been on lockdown for over a month now, and people were sending video messages. Some had granted interviews, and family members were actually worried. So those who have been reached, initially you had 120, 130, or 131. As at the last count, it was 151. Who indicated those are not all the people who are South Africans who live in Wuhan, but these are the people who indicated interest in returning home. I think one or two decided to go over to India, but there will be some relief that their loved ones are now on home soil. Of course, there are those who are worried that this may spread, but the government is stuck between safeguarding that and protecting the interest of citizens who have the right to be protected by their government. So that is where they are, and they're taking extra steps to ensure that these people get the all clear before they get into they're released into the society. That's where we are at the moment, but we expect a briefing from the Health Minister, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, and his team from the National Institute for Communicable Diseases to know what next, if there will be changes in the operations now.
All right, then, Betty, a lot to keep our eyes on there. That's our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, giving us an update on the situation in the country after it confirmed its first case. Now, with the confirmation of South Africa's first case, the total number of confirmed cases on the African continent is now 27. Earlier today, Algeria confirmed 9 new cases, bringing the total number of cases in the country to 17. The country's health ministry says the new cases were registered from a family who had hosted relations from France last month, who were tested positive for the new coronavirus after flying back to France. Senegal has also recorded 2 more cases involving travelers from Europe, bringing the number of patients in the West African country to 4. Other African countries with confirmed cases are Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, and Tunisia. Well, Africa's largest carrier, Ethiopian Airlines, has once again refused to cancel flights to China despite rising pressure following the coronavirus outbreak. South African Airways, Royal Air Maroc, Air Tanzania, Air Mauritius, Egypt Air, Rwanda Air and Kenya Airways have all suspended flights to and from China. But Ethiopian Airlines head says stopping flights to China was not the solution to fighting the spread of coronavirus. Adds that it is unfair to isolate China because of the virus. According to the International Air Transport Association, African airlines have lost $400 million since the outbreak of the coronavirus in China in February. To diplomatic relations now, the president of Somalia and Kenya have spoken on the phone following a heightened diplomatic dispute. Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi and his Kenyan counterpart Uhuru Kenyatta spoke this morning, a day after Kenya accused Somalia's military of carrying out an attack across its border. According to Somalia's presidential team, the 2 leaders agreed to work together to improve border security and form 2 committees drawn from both countries to look into strengthening diplomatic and trade relations. Somali soldiers on Monday destroyed buildings in the northern Kenyan town of Mandera, while fighting forces from Somalia's semi-autonomous state of Jubaland. President Kenyatta, in a statement, had accused Somalia of breaching Kenya's territorial integrity. Tensions has been escalating between the 2 countries, which are involved in a maritime border dispute. The border dispute case is set to be heard at the International Court of Justice in June. Still ahead on the program. Researchers in Egypt hope to lower levels of evaporation from the country's water sources. We'll bring you details after the break. Stay with us.